Here we are again. This is Jose.
And this is Nigel. And this is my favorite Keystone. Or my favorite one thus far. Unless I've forgotten one. A film Johnny.
I actually really enjoy this. And I think out of the movies we've seen thus far, this is really the first movie we really kind of begin to see some of the real development of the Tramp as we know him more today.
And this is almost like, the whole movie is a behind the scenes look at the Keystone Studios and how people made movies in 1914, the early years of cinema. How people saw movies, how they were made. You get a backstage look at the studios and everything. It's really coul.
Of course, here's Chaplin causing a ruckus.
I bet you this is stock footage from some other movie, some other Keystone film, or because I guarantee you that Max Santa didn't film this. But here's a movie house, you know, in 1940. It was Birth of a Nation. It almost looks like it kind of came out a year later, though.
Some of you'll notice here, some of these actors become some staples in some Chaplin films later on in his career, like the gentleman in the back.
But once again, Charlie, you know, he steals the scene.
The Tramp, of course, causing a ruckus as usual.
No, I don't think that's Charlie Chase. I'll take that back. This guy's hair.
Looks like Bach and Beethoven. Then the Keystone Girl appeared. Typical woman. Here we go.
That's Virginia Kirtley again. You know, before this restoration came out, I'd never seen these scenes.
Now, what I love about this here, you know, the Tramp that we see in a lot of the mutuals and some of the SNAs.
Oh, look, he just did the hat thing. He just did he flipped
which
his hat
we see him do in his Oscar, when he's awarded the honorary Oscar. Now,
I think it's the first time that's ever been seen yet.
In a film, as far as we know, we just saw the first 4 films. Now, the Tramp that we know in the mutual films, the SNAs, are really more the mutuals, the first nationals, and in his features, it's more the lovable, innocent Tramp. And here, he's almost a pest. He's a jerk, and of course he has that rip on his jacket, which is only getting bigger. Which, of course, what we talked about in the last film is that he's probably just wearing the same clothes in all of these films, and it's just the tatter and tear.
I wonder if they were even washed in between films. Something tells me they probably weren't.
I don't think people showered much back then.
I don't think they did.
But what do we know? Hey.
But look, I mean, those are real. See, whenever I'd seen the movie before this restoration, this is where the movie started, right here at this scene.
Oh wow.
So that whole beginning bit was completely non-existent. There's Ford Sterling, coming to work.
Henry Learman.
Our favorite director. I think that's Minta Durfee. There's Fatty Arbuckle.
Now, I wonder if that's actual just footage of these people really coming to work here.
I'm sure it probably is.
Which, now this is the first time Fatty Arbuckle and Charlie Chaplin are in front of a camera together.
And look, Charlie's playing the Tramp.
He's now, I kind of like
interacting with real actors. They're playing themselves, but Charlie's playing the Tramp, which is interesting.
No, what I kind of like there, I mean, Chaplin's wearing Arbuckle's pants.
He's like, are those my pants? They look, Ford Sterling, he looks a lot different than he does when he's all made up.
Here's Chaplin the beggar.
This is almost reminiscent of Making a Living, the opening scene, where he's asking for money. This is good. This is a nice gag here. That's pretty funny.
Where'd the money go?
Look at that cinematography.
That says Keystone Films.
This is the real studio, which was in Edendale.
Those are probably just regular employees back there.
And you know, originally the movie studio was a barn.
Oh wow. And eventually Chaplin would build his own studio, and it would be a replica of was it the block that William Shakespeare lived in. And we could probably show you some footages eventually of some of that. Maybe do some commentary on some of those. Here's Chaplin trying to get in. I kind of love this. I mean, for me, this stuff is iconic because it's like almost like
we don't want any bums around here.
It's almost like the Tramp barging his way into film history, almost. You know, you gotta love him. There's this kid brother element about him. You know what I mean? Here he is with the cane.
Look at that. Look at this. Look at behind. You see up there the roof. Oh, there's it's where light came in. They used natural light to film everything in. So if you're watching these older films and you see like the tablecloth move or a curtain blowing, it's because the wind is coming in. This is all open to the elements.
Now, if you guys notice, this is before one of the Tramp's legendary things that he's known about is his cane. This is before he had the cane. In his movies, his bendable cane, a little thinner of a cane.
That cane's a little
but
candy cane-ish.
You can kind of see here though Chaplin beginning to experiment with the idea of this Tramp character carrying a cane.
And look how fast they set these scenes on. I mean, this is obviously made for show, but I can guarantee, I would assume that when they set movies, oh yeah, they set them up probably just as quick as they're doing it here.
Now, one little tidbit of information.
That's funny.
A lot of you see that we're referring to him as the Tramp. At this point, he had never been referred to as the Trampian. Not until the 1915 was an SNA film, The Tramp.
Yes.
So at this point, it's just no name, no character, which is something.
Or Edgar English, as some of the reviewers called him.
Which is what Chaplin kind of remained him a no-name character throughout almost his entire career.
You know, in a lot of early, just goes to show you how ill-informed people were, reviewers. They called him Chaffin. They called him Chaplin with 2 P's.
Well, you know, we still got people today that refer to him as Chapman. Here's all props must be returned. Here's a 1914 camera. Again, look at the quality of this film as opposed to this piece right here.
Yeah, that was probably cut from a different source. The fact that these movies exist at all, though, is like, because 90% of all silent films have been lost forever.
That kind of looked like Hank Mann there for a second. I could be wrong.
It's possible. The fact that all of Chaplin's films survive, so many keystones, you know, don't exist anymore. And the fact that Chaplin's were so duplicated over the years that they always survived in one way or another because there were always multiple copies on every part of the globe. Somehow.
You know, guys, if there's one thing you notice about this film, Chaplin is making a lot of eye contact with the camera, which is, in a way, making a lot of contact with the audience, which is why it makes me wonder, is this why the audience was able to connect with Chaplin so much? Because of how much through face-to-face contact and looking at the camera, he connected with the audience.
Oh, I agree.
He almost made this eye contact with you. Made it personal.
100%. I don't think any other Keystone player, maybe Mabel Normand, because up until that time, she was probably the most popular Keystone player.
You know what this gag reminds me of? Here's Chaplin, this is purely acting going on, and he thinks the girl's really getting beat up. Reminds me of the scene where the drunken millionaire takes him out to dinner that night that he saves him, and that dance is going on, and he thinks that the guy is really beating her. Again, a lot of these gags, a lot of these things he either uses again in the future or later develops
into something else.
Which is what's cool about it is Chaplin was never lost touch with his past and never forgot where he came from.
He never forgot a gag. If he had a gag, even if it was from 1915 he never got to use, years and years later, he'd use it in a later film.
We see that with The Great Dictator in the barber scene. If you buy the Great Dictator DVD, you'll see some of the deleted scenes that the barber gag that he did, he tried doing, I think was around the Mutual times or whatnot, and never got to use it.
Charlie just lit his cigarette with his gun. That's pretty clever.
Kids, don't try this at home, please.
This is the original Jackass. I think Johnny Knoxville owes
Look at
Charlie some money.
You gotta love this guy. He's just like the snappy little kid, which is what he is at this point. He's just a kid.
Look at the old telephone booth there. Hey, look! Someone's house is on fire.
Hey, a fire, just what we need to finish the picture. This is probably what they really thought.
Oh, I guarantee you this is what it was.
Phone.
A parade, a fire, a rainstorm. Any excuse to take your cameras out.
Guys, this is the first iPhone right here. There's Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, great-grandfather, yeah.
The 1914 Charlie Chaplin application.
There's Max Sennett.
Which is pretty cool to see him here.
Pretty cool.
Now, as far as I know, this is the first time we see him in a film with Charlie Chaplin.
That's true. That is very true.
Here's a 1914 fire truck.
There's a lot of shots of Charlie running on the street like that, yeah.
He would use in later films such as
The Circus. Somehow,
you gotta love this.
Somehow he'll catch up.
He almost just kind of looks like he's just all over. Now these people aren't coming here to. I apologize. I said it was a 1914 fire truck. It's just film people trying to make a film, and here's Chaplin going nuts.
That's funny.
Remember, these films are filmed towards the earlier part of the year.
So you know, Max Sennett would probably say, let's go to this fire, let's film some business in front of it, and then we'll make a story up around it later. And we'll film other things to make this into some kind of story.
And this might just be a real fire for all we know. It probably isn't, but...
But of course Charlie has to say otherwise.
So, you know what this kind of reminds me of? This is almost a more developed Kid Auto Race in Venice. The idea of him continuously getting in front of the camera and causing a ruckus and trying to be the star. There he is, of course, again in front of the camera.
I mean, what's cool is this is such an easy way to make a quick film, but I find these almost more interesting than a lot of the Keystones, just because it shows you how these films were made and the equipment and the sets.
Oh, camera goes down again.
It's just really, really cool. And you see Max Sennett, you see all the Keystone players playing themselves.
When was the last time we saw Steven Spielberg get beat up like this by his employees?
Austin Powers and Goldmember, I recall him doing some flips in the beginning, but aside from that.
Here are these firefighters.
And then everybody either gets set on fire or
I mean, here's Max Sennett doing real stunts. I mean, that doesn't feel good. Here's Chaplin getting beat up by
getting his neck broken.
He's a pretty flexible dude.
Reminds me of a lot of dates.
That's what most dates feel like, getting woken up by a hose.
Cool off, yeah, cool off, Chaplin.
Look at him. I love how this guy's in a full series. Max Sennett getting soaking wet. It's just chaos. They're just kind of throwing themselves around.
And this is the first time I've ever seen this gag, which he did later on in a lot of other films.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
I'm done with all this, yeah. I'm out of here.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed a film, Johnny, one of our personal favorite.
You want to watch it again?